Hey guys, welcome to this week's edition of Wild Kentuckiana Live. I'm your host, Tom Chamberlain. And before we get into our guest this evening, I want to talk about our great sponsor we have for this this wonderful TV show that we have is Knob Creek Gun Range. Knob Creek does a lot for us, and they really help us out. And if you ever need anything as far as tactical, ammo, gun range, make sure you go see Kenny Summers and the gang out there. They're really knowledgeable. They really take care of you. And they also have their machine gun shoot that's done twice a year, so make sure you go out and check them out. Great people, great staff. If they don't have it, you really don't need it. As we talked about last week, I was heading to Texas. So it's kind of a weird story. We left out here Wednesday morning before all the snow came into Kentucky, and our flight was supposed to leave at 6 a.m. We ended up leaving out of Louisville at 9 a.m. And then our connecting flight was in Detroit, 3 hours late. Connector was gone. They sent us from Detroit to Minneapolis, Minnesota. Now, my ending destination is San Antonio, but they keep sending me north. So I think we ended up arriving in San Antonio about 9 o'clock at night. We're supposed to have been there at 12:30.
Oh, wow.
So it kind of started off on the wrong foot, but we made it safely. That's a blessing in itself. We stayed at the Triple R Ranch down in Junction, Texas, and it was a wonderful, wonderful place. And Ryan, the owner, invited us down to take some management bucks off his property and kill a few exotics. Never done it before, never hunted inside of a high fence. I know a lot of people are totally against high fence hunting. And I have mixed emotions about that. If I was hunting a high fence that was, 50, 100, 200 acres, I would probably have an issue too. This was well over 2,000 acres, 20-something square miles of property. So it was very good. This first picture we're showing you here, Chris, new member of Lights Out, we put a stalk on this really nice ram here, and he ended up getting a shot at it with his bow at about 20 yards. It was a wonderful, wonderful animal. Not one that I particularly want to eat because he smelled so bad. But it was a really, really fun hunt to do there. And then that was the first ranch we went to. We hunted it for 2 days, and then we headed to another ranch about an hour away, and had some really good time there. I killed my first axis deer. It was an axis doe, very elusive animal. It looks very small, but it's actually a really good doe for an axis breed. They just don't get as big as our whitetails here because they don't have our Department of Fish and Wildlife, hooking them up and getting them big. But I was very proud of that. So I was happy to take my first exotic animal ever. And I'm sure I'll hear some negative feedback about being inside of a fence, but I'm okay with that. Then that night, we got to go out, and we ended up killing 3 management bucks for this guy in one night. And that right there was the buck I took. It was a 7-pointer. They aged him at 4.5 years old and weighed 158 pounds. So it was a good management buck. It was a gene pool they really didn't want in there. Now, while y'all were here dealing with all this snow, if you take a look at all this green, luscious grass we had here in Texas, our average temps were in the mid-60s. About a 5-mile-an-hour southwest wind, which really warmed everything up really nicely. And even in the mornings, it was high 40s, low 50s, so it was not bad at all. And then 2 other guys on the Lights Out team, the one that got the ram, Chris, and his brother Tom, was able to get a really good deer. That's us back at the processing plant right there with my buck. And then we'll go to the picture here with all 3 of the deer together. And we just really had a really, really good time, and it was enjoyable. Y'all were snowed in, and we didn't get that snow down there, of course. Here's a picture of all 3 of us. These were all killed yesterday evening. I literally just got off the plane an hour and a half ago. Got my luggage and headed straight to the studio here to do the show. So it was a exhausting week. But man, I wouldn't trade it for anything. Good company, good people, good food, just, a good time. So just want to let y'all know how the Texas hunt went, and you'll be able to see all these footages and all the hunts and kills on the Pursuit channels coming up here for Lights Out Outdoors TV. So with us tonight, we have some really, really cool guests. We have Kaoru and Steve from Kentucky Pro Bass Warriors.
Right.
How y'all doing tonight?
Good. Thank you.
No problem.
Good, thanks for having us.
Glad y'all can make it on here because y'all got some really, really key dates coming up here really soon.
Right.
On some really exciting stuff y'all are doing for veterans, active, inactive, and wounded vets.
Yes, sir.
Tell me a little bit, what is Kentucky Pro Bass Warriors?
Well, Tom, Kentucky Pro Bass Warrior organization, we take out wounded, active, and veterans fishing once a month for free. We go from March through November, and basically it is a free trip for each one. We publicize it on our website, our Facebook page, word of mouth, and they can sign up. We have a schedule, and they can just sign up, and we go to various lakes. Once they get there, or they can meet at Fort Knox. We have like 2 places. We meet at Fort Knox at the WT unit barracks, and also we'll meet at the ramp because some will come straight to the ramp. So once everybody gets there, the night before, we will pair up volunteers with the veterans or the soldiers or the wounded soldiers.
And these veterans have bass boats or some type of boat.
Right. Some of the veterans, they competitive fish and they want to come out and give back and help their own veterans or wounded soldiers, which, that's a big part of our organization, how it works is because, of the volunteers.
Well, first of all, without our vets, our current, our past, our wounded, we wouldn't be doing what we love to do.
Exactly.
Now you're a veteran, correct, Steve?
Yes, sir. Yes,
I want to thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you.
And, you're the reason why we get to go hunt and fish because you fought for our rights. And, we really appreciate that. And, military is very strong in the outdoor community. Outdoorsmen and women both alike are very strong on making sure we take care of our current and past military because we all realize if it wasn't for you all, we wouldn't be able to do this. It's a blessing to us. So how long has this program been in existence?
We're going into our 4th year this year. I started back in 2012 of April.
What made you want to start this program?
Well, it was just a way of giving back as a volunteer. I was trying to find a way to incorporate my fishing skills, my time on the water. I'm an avid tournament fisherman, so I kind of was trying to coordinate 2 things in one. Sure. And I started off with doing 1 or 2 wounded soldiers a month, and then once I got involved at Fort Knox, several of the soldiers that went out with us start spreading the word. And then,
it doesn't take long because everybody wants to go fishing.
They get hooked. Yeah, that's right. The word, they get hooked. And then all of a sudden it was, from 10 to 15, 20, and now, we average probably anywhere from 25, 50 veterans, wounded and active at an event.
That's awesome. Well, guys, we're going to take a real quick break real quick. When we come back, we're going to find out some of these key dates they have coming up here in the next few months, so stay tuned. Hey, welcome back, guys. Wild Kentuckiana Live. I'm your host, Tom Chamberlain, and we have the guys here from the Kentucky Pro Bass Warriors. Now, from my understanding, this is a nonprofit organization.
Exactly.
And nobody has a paid position. This is all complete 100% volunteer.
Yes, sir.
Exactly right.
Now, that's the way you really want to do it because anything that you raise money-wise, and folks, everybody knows if you want to put these events on, they cost money. Nothing's free. Y'all do have a partnership with Fish and Wildlife to help y'all out on some fishing license. Explain that a little bit.
Well, at every event, we post a date and then we have a cutoff date. Okay. So usually that's a week cutoff date prior to the event. So I talked to Nancy McGyver at the Fish and Wildlife, which they have been so great working with us. And again, our organization and program is about no cost trip to them. Okay. Right. So they exempt the fishing license for that day for any veteran or any wounded soldier or active that don't have one.
Now, do you have a lot of guys out of state that come to you all, or is it strictly in Kentucky?
Well, we have some that come from over in Indiana that help volunteer.
We had a couple come from Fort Campbell also last year, too.
Yeah. We have some wounded soldiers that came from Fort Campbell that came up. And then we also have some of the PVA, which is the Paralyzed Veterans, come. So we're trying to get it out more to the veterans all over the state, and hopefully, if we're in that area doing an event, they can come out and join us.
Well, hopefully this media outlet here helps you all raise awareness for your program because it's a great program. This show, we talk a lot about hunting, but there's a lot of fishing activities that are just as important as the hunting activities that go on in this state. Now, what are some of the lakes that y'all visit on a frequent basis?
Well, usually, we try to stay within hour and a half, no more like 2.
So you're hitting No-Land, Rough, Green.
Exactly.
Barron.
Kentucky Lake. Well, we're going to Kentucky Lake this year.
Okay.
Cumberland.
Yep.
Now, over a year's time, how many current, past, and disabled vets do you think y'all cater to a year?
I know last year we probably had at least 300 come through.
That's wonderful
And
because
then-
you're getting 300 any women?
Yes.
Servicemen and women that are fighting for our country. They can forget all their problems, all their troubles for the day. Y'all can take them out and hopefully put them on some good fish.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
The whole thing about that too is, a lot of it is about just getting them out on the water. It's kind of like a therapy day.
This picture right here, is this a vet?
Yes, that's he's an Army veteran, William Stobbs, and William now works up at the
Academy Sports.
Academy Sports.
Oh,
Yep.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which Academy Sports? E-Town?
Anytime. You want anytime.
If you're in the E-Town area, make sure you go see him and tell him you saw him here on Wild Kentuckiana Live. Make him feel good.
Behind the counter at the guns.
Make sure you thank him for his service. It's important you do that.
Yep.
And let's go over some of these. Well, hang on, we got another. That's a nice picture there.
Now that's veteran Trey Flores. I think that was at Cumberland. That was at Cumberland.
He's got two really nice largemouth there.
Yeah.
Now, y'all, when do y'all hold these events? I mean, is this usually starting in spring?
March. Right? March.
Yeah, and we start from March, and then our last one is in November, and they're on Saturdays,
And you do it every month.
once a month.
Once a month, yeah.
What's the most you've had on one Saturday?
Probably if we had like total participants, I think one time at Rougher we had close to 60, 65.
Yep.
That's great because it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't cost them anything. Y'all supply food.
Drinks,
Fish and Wildlife
snacks.
exempts their license for the day, so they're good there. You supply their drinks or snacks, fuel for the boat, the whole 9 yards.
Yep.
Now, do y'all ever do more than just a one-day getaway?
Yes, we schedule 2-day events. Like we do one locally right outside of Fern Creek at a private place. And that's usually a 2-day event, and we do that because it is close to Fort Knox. We do a cookout on the first day. It's a great camaraderie, and
And are you getting all this food donated? So when y'all do the fundraiser, what's the money actually going to? Is it going to the food and the
it
drinks?
goes to a lot of that stuff because here's what some people don't understand, and I get this asked all the time is, you all got a lot of good sponsors, okay? Well, and I know, all these companies, they get hit so many times with people wanting donations or
Amen.
sponsorships. So they can only help with a certain amount. So let's say, for example, a company donates 20 items to give out after the event, because we give out gift bags to each one after every event.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So it's just a way of saying thank you.
Sure.
And so if we have 40 that we need, then we usually have to go out and try to have enough for all 40.
Right, so you may get 20 free, but then you have to purchase the other
Right,
20.
exactly.
Hopefully the sponsors are generous enough to give you a little discount if you're buying 20 more of their products.
Well, they normally do. And what's so great about some of these companies, and I'm
Who
sure
are some of your sponsors?
well, one of our great, let me just explain about this one great sponsor we have, and that is Lou's Fishing. They have their own program called American Heroes Program. And what they do is when they sell so many rods and reels, they give back to this program, and they give out rods and reels. So we call in and say, like for the first 3 months, we need X amount of rods and reels. So for every new veteran, every new wounded soldier, we give them a brand new rod and reel.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
And
then
that's a great company. Now, where are they based out of?
They are out of St. Louis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful that they're taking the time to help somebody here in Kentucky, hit your goal, because your goal is to take care of these servicemen and women and to
Right.
show them a good time. So it's really great that they're actually contributing to help get your goal
I know
going.
when I first started and listening to a lot of the wounded soldiers and the other soldiers and veterans, I drive back home, and I'm sure you've driven in the country, and you just think about how lucky you are to be able to do what you do
Every day.
And it would really bother me because I think in my mind, hey, these women and men do it by choice. We don't have a draft anymore.
Right.
And they do it, and it's like, could I do that? Give up everything to go do that. And
I guess I'm
hard on me.
selfish. I probably couldn't.
It'd
But
be
I'm
hard.
glad there's people out there that are not selfish.
Yeah.
And I think about that every day, how lucky we are. There's two things I think about the most when I'm either on the water or in the stand. How lucky I am to be able to do what I want to do, and how lucky I am to have a wife that's understanding that I want to do what I want to
Exactly.
do, because that goes a long way too.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a very good point that you're making there.
Yeah.
We're getting ready to take another break. When we come
Okay.
back, you've got looks like 3 or 4 really key dates coming up really
Exactly.
soon here, and we're also going to talk about how people could volunteer, because I'm sure you never have enough volunteers.
Exactly.
And if you have a boat out there, contact these guys. They can put you to good work there. You'll be doing something great for our community, something great for the servicemen and women. So stay tuned, and we'll talk about that as soon as we come back. Hey guys, welcome back to Wild Kentuckiana Live. I'm your host, Tom Chamberlain, sitting here talking a little bit of fishing, a little bit of helping our vets out with Kaoru and Steve here. Now, we got some dates coming up here.
Right.
You were supposed to have something this past weekend, but of course, the impending weather got you off course, and you had to reschedule. Tell me a little bit about the event, and when is it going to be coming up?
Okay, well, Fishing Expo we'll have on the 30th, next Saturday, at Warrior Transition Unit on Fort Knox. We'll have a few vendors, some raffles, some flipping contests, for fishing flipping contests.
Okay.
So we'll have some good time for everybody.
Now, is this something y'all put on before?
Yes.
Yes, this is our third year doing it.
You do it once a year, the expo?
Yes, usually in January,
Okay.
right after they come back from leave from the holidays.
Okay, gotcha. So they're coming back, they're getting settled back into Knox, and y'all have an expo, and y'all have, what kind of vendors would you have out there?
Well, we have different tackle vendors. We have service people that offers, their services. We have guest speakers come in and do seminars, and the casting contest, like Steve was saying, is for the kids and adults, and it's another free event for those wounded soldiers, veterans, and their families and their kids. And we have food there. We have giveaways. We have hourly giveaways. I think last year we had, like, on the casting thing, we gave away 10 different spots.
Sure did, yes.
Now, how many people from Fort Knox and surrounding areas that are vets or former vets do you expect to attend these expos?
Well, we had a decent little crowd last year, but I think it's the snow kind of hampered us a little bit last year.
Right,
The first year it was
right.
pretty crowded.
Yeah.
And that's why this year we had to cancel, because, they cut the snow
Good snow
again.
yes.
Right.
So, and I think next week the weather's supposed to be a little warmer.
It's supposed to be like mid-50s and sunny,
Yeah.
so you should be hitting it perfect. But that
Exactly.
is a disadvantage of having this expo in January. You just never know what our weather's going to play out.
And then also working around other events, because I know the boat show's next week,
Right.
and some are going to come and then leave from there and go to that, which,
And that's really good. Okay, so next Saturday at the expo, for any vets out there, current or past or disabled vets,
Anyone can come on.
get your
post.
butt to Fort Knox, go out there and see us expo, eat some free food, have a good time, bring the kids, bring the family,
Right.
Exactly right.
and
Yes.
just get a little fellowship going on.
Right. It's from 12 to 4.
12 to 4, it's
Right.
awesome. Now, after that, you have February 27th. This is your major fundraiser for the year, because like we talked about, folks, none of this stuff's free. It costs money.
Right.
And, these guys need to raise as much as they possibly can to accommodate as many servicemen and women as they can.
Right.
So tell us a little about the February 27th.
Okay, it's our silent auction fundraiser. This year we're doing something just a little different. Steve had brought this up, where we're doing some of the items this year on a live auction, which is
Okay.
kind of different. So
Which one of y'all is going to be the auctioneer?
Well, what's their name?
They're it's, Heartland Auction
Yeah,
Company.
absolutely.
Yep.
Yep, they're
Heartland
gonna
Auction down there
come.
now from
I figured
Kentucky.
one of y'all would be the auctioneer.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
We're just putting it together.
That's right.
So basically, we have it posted on our website and Facebook page, and there will be other flyers posted. It's from 6 to 10 at the Middletown VFW post, which they've been great enough to donate
Right there
the
on Shelbyville Road?
Yes, on Evergreen Road. $25 gets you in the door.
Okay.
And that covers all the food, drinks. We have live music. We have the dominoes playing. And then we also, I just found out, we have a lady from Georgia. She sings rock gospel.
Okay.
And she is awesome. So she's coming up to sing.
And this is open to the public?
Yep.
Yes.
You gotta make
Family-friendly event.
right, and you got to try to make a reservation
Sure.
because it's only going to hold so many people.
What is the seating capacity there? Do you know how many people you
I
can
think
handle?
it was either 200 or 300. I have to
right.
look.
Now, how are y'all doing on reservations? Are y'all filling up?
Well, we just started putting it out.
Okay.
yeah.
Right.
So I'm sure it's already starting to fill. Yes.
Good deal. Well, hopefully, being on the show here tonight, that more people will take interest. It's right here in Louisville, folks. Open to the public, family friendly. Sounds like a good time. Serving food.
Oh, yeah,
Right,
food. We got
food.
some awesome things for auction. We got a Brett Favre signed jersey.
Brett Favre signed
Brett
jersey.
Favre signed jersey. We got some fishing jerseys. Randy Howell signed jersey, the Bass Pro Classic champion. We've got some good stuff for
It's
auction.
a variety of stuff too.
Yes.
It's not only fishing.
Okay.
It's for everybody. We
What
have
else do y'all have besides non-fishing items?
Well, we have like pictures. Oil paintings
Pictures.
that's donated from different famous painters.
Yeah, got a guitar. Got that guitar.
We have like guitar that's donated from a guy from Tennessee, and actually it's a UK guitar. Got
Well,
got
that probably won't bring no more than $1.50.
No,
that's what I'm
got
thinking.
sports memorabilia. We have two, which is a collector's item for anybody who's a big UK fan, basketball, which has got the 31-0 on it and all the dates and everything. And we have U of L stuff that's signed by all the coaches.
Nice.
We got a lot of nice stuff.
Well, I
and
tell you, I got something at the house that I would like to donate to you all.
that'd be great.
I have a General Butler State Park in Carrollton, Kentucky. They gave me 2 nights free in their lodge, 2 breakfast buffets, and 2 dinner buffets.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Wow.
I was up there, did some speaking for them, and helped them raise some money for their park last year. So I'd like to donate that to you all, and I'll get that to you here in the next week or so.
Okay, appreciate
That's something else you can add to your auction list.
Yeah, we have
And-
like
thank you
different
very much.
trips. Like I know one of our fishing buddies, and he's actually a veteran. He's an active soldier, but he lives down at Kentucky Lake, and he's donating a 4-hour trip at Kentucky Lake.
Nice.
We have hunts, deer hunts, wild hunts. I know last year we had one in Kansas. A friend of mine donated. Birdsong Marina donated a weekend down there stay with the
large.
use of pontoon boats. So there's a
Man,
variety
that's really
of stuff.
good. Really good auction items.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really
And
is.
it's auction items that will fit everybody.
Right.
Not just
It's
fishermen
not just
or
fishermen.
hunters.
Right.
It's,
No,
it's got a
there
little
was-
everything.
There was jewelry there. There was
Jewelry,
there was a little bit of everything. there.
homemade quilts, blankets.
Right.
We have this one guy over in Illinois. It's called Stephen's Lamp, and he takes like a piece of stone, takes the rod handle and part of the pole, puts a lampshade on there, and he's got a pull chain with the bait, and it's got a reel, spinning reel or bait cast. It's
Nice.
awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's really cool. If people want to volunteer, where can they go to?
Go to the website, www.kentuckyprobasswarrior.com, or
Okay.
our Facebook page. They can volunteer that way.
Folks, make sure you try to make it to February 27th in Middletown VFW Post from 6 to 10. $25 gets you in the door. That includes your food.
It includes food.
You can't beat it. $25 for
No.
good
Some
entertainment.
Some good food.
Good food. I mean, how can you go wrong? You're going to lose that in your laundry.
And if
next
you've never
week.
been to a live auction, this is kind of different too.
Yeah, it's fun. I love auctions.
Yep.
My wife says I spend too much at them, but I like going to them.
Yeah.
I don't like to be outbid. I'm very competitive. So I usually fare well when I'm at the auctions.
Yeah,
because I
well, one
usually-
year we had a nice rifle and scope donated.
Sure did.
Yeah, it went
Yeah,
pretty
we sure
good.
did. Yep.
That's
Yeah.
really good.
I think we're going to have another one too. It's going to have all the military engravings on the stock.
Oh, that's really nice. I
Yeah.
seen one. NWTF had one like that.
Yeah, that's what we're
It
gonna
was
have.
really, really nice. Well, folks, make sure you go check them out, Kentucky Pro Bass Warriors. If you have a boat and you want to volunteer and you want to take a vet out, a current service person, make sure you get in contact with them. Help them out. They can always use the help. Make sure you go to the February 27th Middletown VFW Post on Evergreen Road, just off the Gene Snyder. So make sure you go see them. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Hey folks, welcome back to Wild Kentuckiana Live. I'm your host, Tom Chamberlain. Like we said before we went to break, if you can help those guys out, make sure you go over and take care of them and make sure you attend their auction. I tell you what, the whole time I'm in Texas, I'm sitting in these deer stands and I'm thinking about Gabe here. I'm thinking about getting you on the show this week, and I was pretty excited about it. Of course, folks, you know that we're really, really good friends with Fish and Wildlife Department. They do a wonderful job. Can't speak highly enough of what you all do over there. It's a ongoing battle every day for you all. doesn't pay a bunch of money. You do it because you love the outdoors, you love the wildlife. It's a passion of y'all's also. And I think everybody over is a big hunter and fisherman too, so it just goes hand in hand. But we got Gabe Jenkins here. He is the elk and deer coordinator.
Correct.
Gabe, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thanks for being on.
Now, tell us a little about your position. What do you do?
So I'm the coordinator over the deer and elk program. I have 2 elk biologists and 2 deer biologists under me, and we are kind of head of making all the management decisions and recommendations for both species in the state. We work with all of our regional biologists and field staff to collect data, make the best decisions we can possibly make, and then make those recommendations to the commission.
Now, does this include darting animals, running tests on them,
For
that
sure.
type of thing?
Yep.
Is that whitetail? I know you do the elk, but whitetail only?
Yes, well, yes, whitetail and elk both. We have multiple research projects on both species. So it's, we look at harvest data and work with hunters, but we're also doing research on those animals to make sure we're being adaptive as things change and making the best decisions we can.
That's what makes me proud of being from Kentucky and hunting in this state is it seems like our Fish and Wildlife Department is a step ahead of what the trend is. Y'all are staying ahead of it. You're really making sure that our legal limits are where they need to be. I mean, we're going to get into some of the deer harvest results. Folks, it's going to blow your mind because I didn't have that great of a year here in Kentucky, but apparently everybody else in the state had one. But first of all, I want to talk about what everybody hammers Fish and Wildlife about is the elk.
Yep.
Elk is wonderful, biggest herd east of the Mississippi. What's the projected numbers of our herds now? Any idea?
The population's healthy, and that's what's the most important. People ask us, what's the estimate? We have a number, and it's a drop in the bucket. It's an estimator. It's really for us. What is that number doing? Is it going up? Is it going down? Is it stable?
It's a benchmark for you.
Yes, exactly. And so, for us, we're taking into account road kills and damage and success of our hunters. And if something of that goes out of whack, that helps us make better decisions and recommendations for the future.
Now, do you all lose a lot to poachers?
We lose some. There's definitely that happens. We know that it happens.
But I think y'all probably took into account when y'all put the whole program together.
Correct.
That you're going to lose some of that
Right.
to that.
And just like our whitetail, when we do our modeling, we model for a non-compliancy rate. We feel that there are some folks out there, unfortunately, that break the law, that don't want to abide by the rules, and it's unfortunate. But
it is.
We have to model for that and realize that it happens, and so yeah.
That's wonderful, though, that y'all have all these different numbers put together so you know our herd is healthy right now. And when y'all are going out and you're darting them, now you told me you're going to the field next week.
Correct.
I'm trying to do everything I can just to be his co-pilot, driving, whatever needs to be done. I just want to go out there with y'all.
Right.
What are y'all looking for when you're out in the field here?
Well, for right now, we're kicking off our research season. So we have multiple projects on elk and whitetail both. For whitetail, we're looking at adult doe and fawn mortalities in southeast Kentucky.
Okay.
Southeast Kentucky is traditionally zone 4, where we really restrict the doe harvest. And it's been that way for a while now, since the 90s, and we've really not seen the growth that we wanted to. And so we wanted to get back to the basics of, what's causing this stagnant growth, and in some cases, declining growth in some counties. And so you got to look at the female side of things in your fawn reproduction. Everybody right now is talking predators, predator control, predators. So we need to look at our recruitment, look at our fawns and what's killing them, how are they surviving, and then also our does. Maybe our does aren't being reproductive, or not only having one fawn instead of 2 fawns or 3 fawns, or they can't get that old. So it's we're in year 3 of a 3-year project, so we're hoping to get all those animals out.
Some good data for this?
Yeah, it's been fantastic.
Good.
And so we're in Clay County and Leslie counties is where we're working, so that's good there. And then for elk, we have a bull project and a cow project we're working on now. We're looking at all types of mortality. And we're in year 5 on the bull and year 4 with the cow. So,
and what's y'all's projected time frame for those?
They're all kind of wrapping up this year. This is our
good.
last field season for all 3 projects. We'll continue to monitor those animals into the future, but looking for some good data and good things coming out.
Nothing makes me happier when I see a trail camera, I see a doe, she's got 3 fawns.
Yeah.
I mean, that just tells us that in my area, everything's going right. When these does are reproducing twins and triplets, it's really good. I was lucky to have 3 different tail cameras this year, 3 different does, and they all 3 had triplets.
Nice.
So, that's really good in our area. I hate that Southeast Kentucky's having that issue because in this area here, our does are, I mean, they're abundant.
Yes.
Everywhere you go, they're abundant.
Yep.
And back to the elk, though. The number one concern that people have, and I think it's a really bad misconception, is the elk draw. Elk draw, I've been putting in since conception. Most of my family puts in since conception. We've never been drawn. We're okay with that. We know where the money's going. We understand how it works. But I believe everybody out there doesn't understand how that works. Explain to everybody at home that Fish and Wildlife is not drawing this. It's not no, hey, you're my buddy, I'm going to get you
Right,
in on
the
this.
good old boy system.
Because everybody
Correct.
thinks it's how it is, and it has nothing to do with this. There's a third-party company out of California that draws for our elk. Is that correct?
Yeah, the Commonwealth of Office of Technology who does that. And it is a big conception. And for us, it's an information, it's us providing the information that our folks need. When you think about deer and preference points, we have preference points for deer, and it works. For our public hunts and our quota hunts, Ballard WMA is the most sought after
Sure.
quota hunt. You know that in 3 or 4 years of you applying, you're going to reach to have enough points to get the goat on that hunt.
That's right.
And it works. And it works for lots of tags when there's not as many people applying. That goes all out the window when you talk about elk numbers. We'll use the bull firearms as an example. So we had 150 bull firearms permits this year that were available for...
Which was up from the previous years, correct?
It was stagnant.
Okay,
it
stayed same.
So it stayed same at 150. There's 100 bull archery permits as well. So 150 bull firearm permits folks are applying for. There were 19,000 individuals applying for those 150 permits.
Wow.
So if you want to
In-state and out-of-state.
in-state and out-of-state. So if you just want to use 19,000 in simple math, if 150 of those folks get drawn, you have 18,000, 700 or 850 left. All those 18,850 folks get 1 point. And so the next year, there's going to be 150 people out of that cohort get drawn. And if you miss that year, you're out.
Right.
And in order, at the rate that we're going with 150 permits and those same people, if nobody were to drop out, it would take 136 years. If you had a preference point system before everybody got drawn.
So that's why a preference point system on the elk is not a great idea.
Correct. It's sheer volume. We have a lot of interest, and it's great. And we have just a few amount of permits. We want everybody to be able to come and hunt elk in Kentucky.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful thing. However, we just can't. The resource won't allow it.
You know, the feedback I hear from is, well, I see Michael Waddell. He kills a bull elk every year in Kentucky. How does he get drawn every year? Well, folks, he doesn't get drawn every year. They have commissioner tags.
Correct.
They have coal mine tags. If the coal miners open up, if the mines open up so many thousands of acres or hundreds of acres, they get tagged for that. They sell those tags. That tag that Michael Waddell is using in Kentucky costs him probably $10,000.
Yep.
Now, if you want to spend $10,000, you can hunt an elk in Kentucky without being drawn. There's other ways to do it. QDMA does a raffle on them. Commissioners do a raffle on them. So there's other ways besides drawing, but it's really going to cost you a lot of money. And the conception is, well, if you know somebody at Fish and Wildlife, you can get drawn. Doesn't happen. Because those people in California have no idea who Gabe is, has no idea who I am, doesn't care who we are. They're just drawing a name and a number.
they're just drawing a name and a number. Correct.
That's all they're doing. Folks, we're going to take a quick break. We're a little late for this. When we come back, we're going to get into a little bit more of the elk and our actual end of the year state numbers for whitetail, because our season ended last Monday. So stay tuned. Folks, welcome back to Wild Kentuckiana Live. I'm your host, Tom Chamberlain. I have Gabe Jenkins here, Fish and Wildlife Big Game Coordinator. Before we went to break, we talked about the preference points, how it's not a good idea for the elk program, but it does work for the WMAs. Totally different circumstances, totally different herd numbers. Correct. It's just not even, it's apples and oranges. We also got into a little bit on how the draw works. You know John Boyd, he got drawn 14 times. And he shouldn't be drawing for elk. He should be playing the Powerball because it just doesn't happen that way. Now, y'all have a 2030 Kentucky elk management plan. Explain that to me.
So it's really a guide for the program into the future for the next 15 years. How are we going to manage the species? When you think back, we've had elk on the landscape for 18 to 20 years now.
Right.
And so we were really in this restoration stage, bringing in elk, getting them to where we've got them, getting them to a good, stable, healthy population. And now we're shifting gears and going into management. And so with that, we kind of change our focus, change how we do things. And this plan we put together to kind of give us big pictures and topics and goals to reach for, strive for into the future. Put the plan together. It's online right now for public comment. And we'd love folks to take a look at it.
And just give you feedback.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe we're missing the mark. Maybe you'd like to see us go a different route. And this is your opportunity to have a voice and come forth and provide comments for us.
And see, folks, most state agencies don't ask for this kind of assistance from the general public, whereas Fish and Wildlife does. You as a hunter or as a landowner or just even a property owner, you see what they don't see on a regular, everyday basis. And maybe you have an ideal that Fish and Wildlife hasn't thought of. So, go to that, give some feedback to them, and maybe they can, head the direction that you see if they see fit for it. And, I'm sure they'll research all of it and see what the best plan of action is. Another question, I have people ask me this all the time. I don't know the answer to, and you may not either. It may be something for Shane Carey to answer. If you are outside the zone, the elk zones, can you kill an elk during the season? If you buy it you can buy it over-the-counter elk tag,
yes,
is that correct?
Out-of-zone elk permit you can purchase.
So if they're out of the zone, and now, is there a lot of elk that are venturing out of the zones?
There are a few. There's a couple counties in particular that we know that they come out of. Definitely happens a lot in the summer and spring during our calving season. Our cows move out of the zone. They seek different habitat to go have their calf. They go out of the zone, have their calf, and somewhere about rut, they like to filter back in. It's amazing how they have that sense when they know, it's about time for hunting season, so I better get back to where I'm safe. So,
now, have you had any success of harvesting any elk outside of zones?
We have a few every year. We did not have any telecheck this year. We had 2 or 3 the year before, and it bumps around from 1 to 2. I think our highest was 6 in 1 year, but it's not many.
What keeps the elk in the zones that y'all originally dropped in? I mean, what is it? So is it the terrain that's so attractive to them?
Yeah, it's definitely habitat. They have a lot. Everything they need, food, water, shelter, is all close. And when you think about western elk, they'll pick up and move and migrate miles and miles.
Right.
Our elk could do that if they want, but there's not a need because all their basic needs are provided for them.
So their home range is very short, very small compared to a western elk.
For sure. Yep.
And do y'all know about what a home range is for a bull?
They're very individualistic. Some bulls are homebodies. They like to stay close to home and they spend their area in a couple miles. There's some bulls that are just wanderers. And that's the cool thing that we've seen in our bull research project. We've had GPS collars on these bulls is to track their movements. One day they might just pick up and start walking. And they'll walk 10, 15 miles and then stop. What are they going for? Where are they headed? Who are they going with? What's the purpose? And it just seems that there's not really a statistical rhyme or reason.
They it's
just individuals. Just like you like to travel, somebody doesn't like to leave the county.
Right.
And it's just preference.
That's awesome, man. I'm so intrigued about the whole elk because we had an elk population way back, lost it all. We got it back. Our herd is really thriving. God willing, one day I'll draw one. If I don't, I'm still going to contribute every single year. Let's focus a little bit more on deer now.
Okay.
Our season just ended last Monday. From my understanding, we had a record year.
We did.
I did not have a record year. Did you?
Nor did I. No. Everybody else was successful, but you and I guess we just struggled.
I guess I kept blaming it on weather, and I don't think it was the weather. I think it was just my poor hunting techniques, I guess it was. So let's go over some of these numbers here that I pulled off the telecheck, okay? 2013 was the previous record.
Correct.
144,409 deer harvested. Do y'all have expectations of where you'd like to see the numbers at before the season even starts?
A little bit. It's to more on the zone and what we want them to see. Zone 1, we want to see that harvest high. Zone 4, we're trying to grow the herd. So we realize we want to provide opportunity, but not a lot. So historically in the 2000s, we were statewide harvesting 110, 120 thou. We bumped around that way for 10 years, 12 years. and we were hit hard with EHD. A lot of folks remember that. Blue tongue in 2007.
Yes, that was
in
a destroyer.
2010, yes, it was. It really took a toll on our population. We moved a lot of counties and their zones back to try to grow that herd back,
Right.
and we're reaping the benefits of that now, for sure.
And that's awesome. In 2014, 138,898, dropped a little bit, dropped about 6,000, give or take a little bit. And 6,000 sounds like a lot, but you're talking about all these counties we have. Was it 120 counties?
120 counties.
120 counties. 6,000 deer is not a lot of
many.
deer.
No.
And then this year, blew every record we ever had out of the water.
Yep.
155,729 telechecked animals. Now, what do you contribute to why it jumped 17,000 deer? 17 is a big number.
It's a lot of deer, and we were setting records in every month, every weapon. Just lots and lots of deer hit the ground this year, and our hunters were successful. A couple things. Weather was good. Weather was good for our big weekends, where what really drive our harvest. We're a gun-dominated state. We killed the majority of our deer, 2/3 of our deer, and that, the gun season. The weather was good on the weekends, and it allowed for good harvest. Second, we have a lot of deer. Like I talked about, it's good to be a deer hunter in Kentucky right now. We've rebounded. Our populations are healthy, and so there are a lot of deer on the landscape that provide opportunity. And third, in the majority of the state, there just wasn't a lot of mast, not a lot of acorns, not a lot of hickory nuts, and there wasn't as much food that dispersed deer, that caused deer to cut down on movement.
Yep.
And when you factor all that together, it makes for good hunting.
It does. We're going to get into some more numbers as soon as we come back from this break, so folks, stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome back to Wild Kentuckiana Live. I'm your host, Tom Chamberlain, and we have Gabe Jenkins here from Fish and Wildlife Department. And as you know, if you've watched the show on a regular basis, we love to have Fish and Wildlife on. They're our #1 go-to for resources in this state as far as anything to do with fishing, hunting, camping. I mean, it's all go-to spot for us. Now, I'll tell you a number, even though we set a record at 155,729, the number I liked out of all the numbers we looked up was the buck to doe ratio.
Yep.
54.9% bucks, 45.1% does. To me, that tells me that people are managing their property correctly. They're making sure they have that constant buck to doe ratio that they need. Now, what are your thoughts on that?
That's definitely the thing. I mean, for us as managers, we provide the most liberal you can be.
Yep.
And then you as property managers, you set what you feel is right on your property. And that's what we're designed to do. What the most opportunity we feel we can sustain. And then if you feel that your numbers are a little bit higher or a little bit lower on your property, you can make those decisions accordingly and shoot or not shoot some of the deer that you're willing to harvest or not harvest.
I know some guys that really strictly manage some really, really top-notch property here in the state. And they basically have a rule. If you want to kill a buck, you got to kill a doe first.
Yeah.
Don't even look at a buck until you've whacked a doe first, because they want to keep that percentage of where they need it to be. Now, as a biologist, because even though you're the coordinator, your background is being the biologist,
Correct.
you're still very hands-on in that. Is that the way it should be?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it depends on where you are across the state. But if you're in a Zone 1 county, you need to be hard on those does.
Yeah.
The purpose of Zone 1 is we want to reduce the numbers of deer in the zone. So Zones 2 and Zone 3, maybe not so much. You have some hot spots, some low spots.
Right.
For sure, if you're taking a couple bucks, you want to make sure you take a couple of those off the property.
Now, people ask me all the time, can we contact Fish and Wildlife? Can they come look at our property? We have a crazy amount of does versus buck ratio. Does Fish and Wildlife ever go out to people's personal properties and try to help them get them lined out?
We love the opportunity. We have private lands biologists all across the state that are willing to come out, walk your farm, make recommendations. They can provide assistance, potentially assistance with federal funding to do forest management or resource management on your property. They're a fantastic resource, and we encourage folks to visit the website, go to My County Contact, type in the county that your farm's in, and it'll pull all your local staff up, and they'll have your private lands biologist, officer, fisheries biologist, and you can contact them that way. And it's a free service that they come out and.
So you're basically getting a guy that's went through and got his degree in biology for wildlife that he spent a lot of money on to go to college for, to come to your property and tell you what you need to do recommendation-wise to make your property the best it possibly can be for free.
Yep, for free. And if you're not a deer hunter, they can talk rabbits, they can talk small game, they can talk about
Turkeys, whatever.
you name it. If you want to do habitat or if you want to grow oak trees, what have you. These guys are fantastic.
And we got the new grouse program coming back in full effect. So, you know, if you've got some areas that, you know, you could plant some wildlife or some native grasslands in there, you know, those guys can help you do that, folks. So it's not just about deer hunting or turkey hunting. It's every hunting possible. You know, they can probably tell you if you need to maintain some of your predators. You know, it's why you have a low rabbit count or, you know, something like that. So make sure you go and help and go to their website, and they can help you out and get everything you need to do. Some more numbers here. Of course, we know you spoke, you know, gun is the major weapon of choice in the state of Kentucky. I almost wish that you all would go to a shotgun owner like Indiana. And I say that because I feel like with the quality of deer we have and the job y'all are doing, if somebody didn't have that 300-yard shot, how much bigger deer could we have here? You know, so it's
I mean we hear that a lot. Going to shotguns, moving the season off the rut. There's a lot of talk about it.
Can you start opening the season up in June?
Sure, why not?
I hate waiting that long period to September.
Oh yeah, I realize that we all want to get out there and get hunting, but man, it's hot.
It is. So gun 109,177. Archery was 23,321. I really like that number because it tells me that we're getting more archers out in the woods. I've seen a lot more female hunters I have this year than I've ever had using their bow, so I love that number. Muzzleloader 18,663. Any more, these muzzleloaders are like high-powered rifles. They get 250 yards on them. And the crossbow is 4564. So I'm really glad to see that some of these other numbers have increased. You know, people are venturing out, not just doing firearms. They're taking bows and they're taking crossbows. Well, Gabe, I want to thank you a lot for coming in, brother. And we'll see you next week on Wild Kentuckiana Live.